Angry Serbian Dancing Lady Horror Story Horror Parkour POV. It was supposed to be a harmless night challenge, one of those late night dares that always seemed like a good idea until something went wrong. 3 friends, Luka, Stefan, and Marco, had been exploring the outskirts of Belgrade for their YouTube channel, Horror Parkour POV. Their latest video idea was simple: sneak into the abandoned Kalenik neighborhood after midnight, film the eerie graffiti and crumbling houses, and maybe catch a few urban legends on tape. The place had a strange reputation. Locals whispered about a woman who danced alone in the streets at night, a woman in a long white dress, barefoot, her movements hypnotic and deranged. They called her the Serbian Dancing Lady. Some said she was cursed. Others claimed she had lost her mind after her husband's death. But everyone agreed on one thing: if she noticed you watching her dance, you had to run. Luka had laughed off the warnings earlier that night. "It's all just stories," he said, adjusting his GoPro. "People make up legends because they're bored." Marco smirked. "Yeah, and tonight we prove it's fake." The camera rolled as they climbed a fence and entered the empty street. The only sounds were the hum of distant traffic and the crunch of gravel under their sneakers. The street lights flickered weakly, some completely dead. Every house looked frozen in time: shuttered windows, vines creeping over brick walls, broken street signs hanging by a thread. They walked for 10 minutes before Stefan suddenly raised his hand. "Wait," he whispered. "Do you hear that?" At first, it was faint music. A slow, haunting melody, like something from an old Serbian folk dance. It echoed through the alley, carried by the wind. Then came the sound of rhythmic footsteps, soft but deliberate, tapping against the pavement. Luka tilted the camera toward the noise. "No way," he whispered, grinning nervously. "That can't be her." They rounded the corner and froze. In the middle of the street stood a woman. Her long black hair covered most of her face. She wore a tattered white dress that fluttered in the night breeze. And she was dancing. Her arms waved in strange, jerky motions, her body twisting to a rhythm only she seemed to hear. It wasn't graceful. It was frantic, almost violent. The boys stared in silence. The only sound now was her breathing and the faint scrape of her bare feet against the ground. "Let's get closer," Luka whispered, already stepping forward. "Are you insane?" Marco hissed. She could be dangerous. But Luka was already filming. "Come on, it's just performance. This is gold." The woman suddenly stopped dancing. Her head turned slowly, like a puppet on a string. Through the strands of her hair, her eyes glinted in the dim light, cold and glassy. The camera trembled as Luka whispered, "She's looking at us." Then she screamed. The sound tore through the night, high, piercing, inhuman. Luka stumbled backward, the camera jerking wildly. The woman broke into a run, her feet slapping the pavement as she charged toward them. "Go! Go!" Stefan yelled. They sprinted down the alley, the sound of her footsteps echoing behind them. Every few seconds, Luka glanced back, the GoPro capturing glimpses of her silhouette, arms flailing, dress torn, eyes gleaming like silver knives in the dark. They turned corner after corner, lungs burning, but the music seemed to follow them, louder now, faster. It wasn't coming from a speaker. It was coming from her. She was humming as she ran. "Where is it?" Luka shouted, looking for the hole in the fence they'd climbed through. "I don't know," Marco gasped. "Keep running." Behind them, the woman's voice rang out again, almost playful. "Don't stop dancing." The alley opened into an old courtyard. There were no exits, just cracked walls and rusted gates. They were trapped. "Oh no, oh no, no," Stefan muttered, backing up. Luka turned his camera toward the shadows and she appeared again, slowly stepping into the light. Her arms swayed as if she was back in her twisted dance. Her smile was wide and wrong, stretching too far across her face. "I have a dog," Marco shouted desperately. "I'll let it out." She paused, tilting her head, as if amused. Then she began to dance again, faster this time, circling them like a predator teasing its prey. Luka's camera shook violently. "We need to go, now." They pushed at a locked gate, finally forcing it open. As they stumbled into the next street, Luca looked back one last time. The woman had stopped dancing. She stood perfectly still under the flickering streetlight, her face barely visible, but her hands were still moving, twisting in the air as if pulling invisible strings. Then the light went out. Didn't stop running until they reached the car. No one spoke on the drive back to the city. The footage was shaky, almost useless, but one thing was clear: she was real. And when Luca checked his phone that night, he saw a new notification, a video uploaded from an unknown account. It was titled, "Keep Dancing." He clicked play. The screen showed him running, filmed from behind. The next morning, Luca woke to dozens of notifications. His phone buzzed relentlessly on the nightstand, messages from followers, group chats, even people he didn't know. At first, he thought the new video had gone viral. But when he clicked on the first message, his stomach dropped. "Bro, is this part of your series or real? Dude, that woman's behind you, what is this? How did she post this on your channel?" He blinked hard, opened YouTube, and froze. The channel's newest upload wasn't theirs. It was titled, "Keep Dancing Part 2. And it had already hit 80,000 views overnight. The thumbnail showed a still frame of Luca from behind his flashlight cutting through the dark street as the Serbian Dancing Lady stood in the distance. Only she looked closer than he remembered. Much closer. He clicked play. The footage wasn't from any of their cameras. It was shot from a completely different angle, low to the ground, shaky, like someone was crawling behind them. The sound was distorted, muffled, but clear enough to hear their panicked voices echoing through the alley. Then came the moment Luca dreaded, the part where she looked right at them. But this time, the video didn't cut away. This time, it zoomed in. Her face filled the screen, eyes wide and gleaming, mouth open in a grin that stretched unnaturally across her face. She whispered something in Serbian, over and over again. The subtitles automatically generated by YouTube struggled to keep up, flashing nonsense phrases until one line stuck: "You shouldn't have watched." Luca slammed his laptop shut, his heart pounding. No, this can't be real. He grabbed his phone and called Marco. No answer. Then Stefan. Still no answer. Finally, Marco picked up, his voice shaking. "Luca, did you upload that video?" "I didn't. Someone hacked us or something." "I swear!" Luca shouted. "I don't think it's a hack," Marco whispered. "You need to come over." When Luca arrived at Marco's small apartment, the blinds were shut tight. Stefan was there too, pale and restless, pacing the living room. Marco pointed at the TV. "Watch this." It was the same video. But they weren't alone in it anymore. In the reflection of one of the windows in the background, barely visible, but unmistakable, there was a fourth figure following them. A woman in white. She wasn't in the alley when they filmed it. She wasn't supposed to be there at all. Luca's hands trembled. "We're calling the police." They did. But the officer who arrived looked skeptical. "So, you're telling me someone filmed you running from a woman dancing in the street?" "She chased us," Stefan insisted. "She was real." The officer sighed, glancing at Luca's camera. "You boys make prank videos, right? Maybe next time you think before scaring yourselves to death." They tried showing him the upload, but by the time he looked at Luca's screen, the video was gone. Deleted. The link led to nothing. That night, they agreed to delete all the raw footage and never go back. But when Luca plugged his camera into his laptop, the files wouldn't delete. Every time he tried, the same corrupted folder reappeared. Inside it was one video labeled dance.mov. He hesitated, then double-clicked it. The screen flickered to life. It showed him sleeping. In his own bed. A soft voice whispered from the speaker, "Keep dancing, Luca." He yanked the power cable from the wall and threw the laptop shut. His phone buzzed a moment later. A new message from an unknown number. "Where are your friends tonight?" Luca ran outside, dialing Marco again. No response. He jumped into his car, speeding toward Marco's building. The streets were empty, fog rolling in thick and low like smoke. When he reached the apartment, The door was wide open. The lights flickered. Stefan's phone lay on the floor, cracked. The TV still played static. "Marco?" Luca called out. No answer. Then, from the hallway, came music, soft and slow, like the same folk tune from that night. He followed it, heart pounding, until he reached the back of the living room. There, under the dim yellow light, stood the woman. The same white dress. The same long, tangled hair. Only this time, her face was clear. Pale, emotionless, eyes like glass marbles. She was dancing. Step by step, she moved toward him, humming that same tune. Luca backed up until he hit the wall, his breath shaking. "Please," he whispered. "What do you want?" She stopped dancing and raised her arm. Slowly, she pointed to his phone, still lit in his hand. On the screen was a live stream, his own camera broadcasting him in real time. The title read, "Keep Dancing Final Episode." Hundreds of viewers watched as Luca screamed, the frame jerking wildly before falling to the ground. When the police arrived hours later, they found the apartment empty. No bodies. No woman. Just a phone, still recording a flickering light. A week later, the horror Parkour POV channel went dark. Every video was deleted. Every account gone. But one new channel appeared soon after, with a single upload. It was a looping clip of a shadowy woman spinning slowly in a deserted alley.